Okay, let's dive into something truly foundational today. We tend to think about food mostly as fuel, you know, calories, protein, carbs, that sort of thing.
Right, just the building blocks.
Exactly. But what if food is actually much more sophisticated, like information that's constantly talking to your body's own amazing defense systems, the ones designed to keep you healthy?
That's the core idea we're really unpacking today. It's a shift, isn't it? Seeing food not just as materials, but as like instructions. Instructions that can guide your body's innate ability to fight disease.
And we've pulled together some really compelling sources for this deep dive. We're looking at insights from experts like Dr. William Lai, his whole eat to beat disease concept.
Yeah, his work is central here.
Mhm.
But we're also looking at structured approaches, things like the IFM mitochondria food plan.
Right, and the principles behind the microbiome diet.
Well,
And even some, well, challenging perspectives from Dr. Stephen Gundry that kind of push back against conventional wisdom, make you rethink things.
definitely. Our goal here is really to pull out the most important nuggets from all of these, to help you understand how your everyday food choices aren't just supporting your health.
Uh-huh.
They're actively engineering it down at a really fundamental systems level.
Okay, so let's unpack that. This health engineering systems approach, how does it differ from just, you know, counting macros or worrying about vitamins?
Well, it moves beyond looking at nutrients in isolation. Instead, it focuses on how food interacts with your body's integrated defense systems, the whole network.
And Dr. Ling identifies 5 key systems.
That's his framework, yeah. 5 core pillars of health: angiogenesis, regeneration, the microbiome, DNA protection, and immunity. And the really striking thing is how profoundly food influences every single one.
So the idea is, if you understand these systems and you eat foods that support them, you're basically boosting your body's own self-healing power.
Precisely. You're maximizing that potential. It really empowers you to make, incredibly informed choices with every meal.
Okay, let's get into it then. Let's do a deep dive into these 5 systems. Where should we start? Angiogenesis.
Sounds good. Angiogenesis.
So that's about blood vessel formation, right? We have
Mhm.
something like 60,000 miles of them.
Yeah.
It's a crazy number,
Yeah.
delivering oxygen, nutrients.
Exactly right. It's mind-boggling, and it's absolutely essential for life, for healing wounds, everything. But, and this is key, the system needs to be tightly controlled.
Controlled. How so?
Well, if it goes off balance, too much vessel growth or too little, it can fuel a whole range of diseases. Too many abnormal blood vessels can actually feed things you don't want, like tiny cancers trying to grow.
Okay.
Or it can contribute to conditions like Alzheimer's, arthritis, blindness, heart disease, endometriosis. Even obesity is linked.
Wow. So it's all about keeping it in balance. And the sources say food can actually help with that, like modulate the system.
They absolutely do. It's fascinating. Some foods have compounds that are naturally anti-angiogenic. They help put the brakes on excessive blood vessel growth.
Like what kind of foods?
Well, the sources point to things like cruciferous vegetables, think broccoli rabe, bok choy, cauliflower, kale. Tomatoes show up, soy, fruits like apples, peaches, berries, cranberries, pomegranate,
Hmm.
even things like green tea, coffee, red wine, and then some surprises like licorice and hard cheese.
So everyday foods potentially helping to like starve processes we don't want. That's a powerful idea.
Mm,
But what about the flip side? When you need more blood flow?
good point. There are definitely times you want to stimulate angiogenesis, maybe for poor circulation, ischemic heart disease, recovering from a heart attack or stroke, chronic wounds.
Even things like erectile dysfunction or hair loss, the outline mentioned.
Exactly. And foods can help there too. Things like barley, flax seeds, sunflower, sesame, pumpkin, chia seeds are mentioned. Herbs like ginseng, rosemary, peppermint,
Okay.
and foods rich in quercetin. That's a compound found in capers, onions, red leaf lettuce, even hot green chili peppers.
Yeah. So you can tailor your choices, nudge the system one way or the other depending on what your body needs. That really changes how you look at your plate, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. Okay, moving on to system number 2, regeneration. If angiogenesis is about supply lines, regeneration is about the body's ability to maintain, repair, replace, basically renew itself.
And this is where stem cells come in. Those tiny, super important cells.
Precisely. They're only about 0.0002% of your cells, but they're the powerhouses of renewal. Think about it. Your gut lining replaces itself every few days.
Wow.
Your skin every couple of weeks, red blood cells every 4 months. Even your skeleton completely regenerates over about 10 years. It's constant turnover.
And diet affects these critical stem cells too.
It looks like it. Research is showing food can nudge stem cell activity. Some foods seem to help mobilize them, getting them to where they're needed for repair.
Examples.
Things like dark chocolate, black tea, even beer are mentioned in some
Oh,
studies.
here. Interesting.
I know, right? And then on the other side, some foods might help target and eliminate dangerous stem cells, the kind that could potentially spark cancer growth. Purple potatoes were highlighted for this potential.
So food choices could literally impact your body's repair crew and help clear out potential trouble. That's profound.
It really is. It draws a direct line between your fork and your body's capacity for self-renewal. Okay, system number 3, the microbiome. This one gets a lot of attention lately.
Yeah, the gut bacteria. Trillions of them.
Almost 40 trillion, yeah. Bacteria, fungi, archaea, this whole bustling ecosystem, mostly in your gut, and its health, its diversity is just crucial.
Why is it so important beyond just digestion?
Oh, way beyond. They defend your health, they produce vital compounds from the food you eat that your own body uses, they massively influence your immune system, they interact with angiogenesis, they even make neurochemicals that affect your brain, your mood, social function.
It's connected to everything.
Pretty much. And think about the sheer volume of food passing through 60 tons over a lifetime. You are literally feeding this entire community every single day.
Okay, so the big question is, how do you feed the good guys? Keep them happy.
Well, one way is direct reinforcement, eating foods that contain beneficial microbes. Probiotics.
Fermented foods, right. Kimchi, sauerkraut.
Exactly, those traditional foods. Also, certain cheeses like cheddar, real sourdough bread, other fermented veggies, cultured dairy like kefir or yogurt from sheep or goat's milk.
And then there are the foods that feed the bacteria already living there. Prebiotics.
Yes. These are mostly types of fiber that we can't digest, but our beneficial gut bacteria thrive on. Think Jerusalem artichokes, onions, garlic, asparagus, jicama, leeks, radishes.
So what happens when the bacteria eat these prebiotics?
They ferment them and produce these incredibly important substances called short-chain fatty acids, SCFAs.
SCFAs. I've heard of those. Why are they so vital?
They're not just waste products. They're fuel for your own colon cells. They
Yep.
help maintain a strong gut barrier. They reduce inflammation systemically. Like throughout your whole body, they boost brain function, balance mood, can help with anxiety.
Wow.
They even play a role in metabolism. The microbiome is just deeply interwoven with everything, especially the immune system.
This ties right into what we saw in the microbiome diet sources. That whole approach seems focused on cultivating this inner garden.
It really does, often using a structured approach, sometimes called the 4 Rs. Remember those?
Vaguely. Remove, repair.
You got it. First, remove the things causing imbalance. Obvious stuff like junk food, sugar, bad fats, processed ingredients, but also thinking about reducing exposure to toxins, maybe unnecessary antibiotics or certain meds like NSAIDs or acid blockers that can disrupt the gut, prioritizing organic filtered water,
Okay, remove the bad stuff then.
and repair the gut lining. That intestinal barrier is so important. It's where your inner world meets the outside. Nutrients like zinc, vitamin D, glutamine, quercetin can help. Even soothing things like slippery elm.
Makes sense. Keep the fence strong.
Exactly. Third, replace anything that might be missing for good digestion. Maybe not enough stomach acid or digestive enzymes. These are needed to break down food properly and also act as a first defense against pathogens. Sometimes simple things like digestive enzyme supplements or a bit of apple cider vinegar can help. Poor digestion means poor nutrient absorption too.
Right. And the last R.
Reinoculate, bring in the good guys. Lots of probiotic-rich foods consistently, and sometimes targeted probiotic supplements to really boost beneficial populations, aiming for diversity and high numbers.
So it's a whole strategy, not just a diet.
That's a great way to put it. It's about actively managing that internal ecosystem because its health is so fundamentally linked to your health, and you're the gardener.
Okay, fascinating. System number 4, DNA protection. We usually think of DNA as fixed, but it's a defense system.
It absolutely is. Your DNA isn't just sitting there. It has incredible built-in repair mechanisms constantly fixing damage. Damage from UV radiation, chemicals, stress, lack of sleep, and yes, from a poor diet.
So food can actually tell our DNA to fix itself.
It seems so. Certain compounds in food appear to trigger those repair processes. They can also influence epigenetics, basically, turning helpful genes on and harmful genes off.
Like flipping switches.
Kind of. And some foods are linked to maintaining or even lengthening telomeres. Those are the protective caps on the ends of our chromosomes. Longer telomeres are associated with slower cellular aging.
What kinds of foods help protect DNA?
Lots of antioxidant-rich stuff. Berry juices, kiwi fruit, carrots, broccoli, and other cruciferous veggies. Seafood, soy. teas, turmeric, herbs, coffee, nuts, seeds. General dietary patterns like the Mediterranean or vegetable-rich Asian diets seem very protective.
And what harms it?
The usual suspects, really. Fatty foods, processed meats, sugary drinks seem to impair these DNA defense mechanisms.
So choosing the right foods helps maintain our genetic blueprint and potentially slows aging at the cellular level,
Exactly. You're supporting the body's most fundamental code. Okay, finally, system number 5. Immunity, your body's defense force.
which we now know is way more complex than just fighting germs,
Yeah.
and hugely influenced by the gut.
Hugely. And diet is a major control knob for immunity. Foods can either help activate the immune system or help calm it down, depending on what's needed.
So immune-boosting foods, what falls into that category?
These are foods thought to kind of rev up the system, enhance its readiness. Things like aged garlic, lots of berries, black, blue, cranberries, broccoli sprouts, a variety of mushrooms.
Which mushrooms?
Chanterelle, enoki, matake, shiitake, even common white button mushrooms. Also chestnuts, chill peppers, Concord grape juice, licorice root, extra virgin olive oil, Pacific oysters, pomegranate, walnuts. Quite a list.
Okay, so those might give your immune system a boost. What about when it's overactive, like in autoimmune conditions or chronic inflammation?
Right. Then you want immune-calming foods. These help dampen that excessive response. Foods high in vitamin C and other antioxidants often fit here. Acerola, camu camu, cherry tomatoes, grapefruit, guava, oranges, strawberries. Green tea pops up again.
And certain dietary patterns, too.
Yes, things like raw vegan diets or high vegetable, low protein approaches, or specific protocols like the autoimmune protocol, AIP diet, are often used to try and soothe an overactive immune system.
So with immunity, like angiogenesis, it's about balance, using food to help modulate the response.
Absolutely. And the key thing to remember is these 5 systems. They don't work in isolation. They're constantly talking to each other. Supporting one often benefits the others. It's interconnected.
And beyond these 5 pillars from Dr. Lai, the sources brought up other critical areas influenced by diet. Mitochondria health was a big one.
Oh, huge. Mitochondria, the powerhouses in almost every cell. They make energy, ATP, using oxygen and nutrients, super concentrated in high demand areas. Brain, heart, nerves, muscles.
That they're vulnerable.
Very susceptible to damage from poor diet, toxins, stress. Mitochondrial decline is linked to fatigue, brain fog, aging, chronic disease.
So supporting them is key for energy, vitality,
Yeah.
aging well.
Foundational. Better mitochondrial health can mean less fatigue, less pain, sharper thinking, even better body composition. The IFM Mito Food Plan sources laid out some clear strategies.
What were the main points?
Well, first, ensuring the right building blocks. Good macronutrients, B vitamins, CoQ10, and a lot of antioxidants. From plants, high-quality fats.
Why are antioxidants so critical for mitochondria?
Because making energy is messy work. Mitochondria produce reactive oxygen species, ROS. Think of it like metabolic exhaust. Too much ROS causes oxidative stress, damaging the mitochondria themselves. Antioxidants, like the body's master antioxidant glutathione, neutralize that ROS.
So eating colorful plants helps our cells make their own protection.
Exactly. Eating a wide diversity of colorful fruits and veggies, using spices, getting quality protein, these provide the precursors your body needs to make glutathione and other antioxidants. It's why eat the rainbow is actually solid advice.
Makes sense. What else?
Big focus on anti-inflammatory nutrients. The recommendation was aiming high, like 8 to 12 servings of colorful fruits and veggies daily, especially bitter cruciferous ones.
Why bitter?
They contain specific compounds with potent benefits, and polyphenols found abundantly in blueberries, strawberries, walnuts. They're linked to better cognitive function, less inflammation, maybe even longer lifespan. Potential Alzheimer's prevention, too. Turmeric with curcumin is another powerful anti-inflammatory highlighted.
And fats. Important for mitochondria, too.
Absolutely crucial, especially for brain health. High-quality fats are needed for healthy cell membranes, including mitochondrial membranes. DHA from things like seaweed, egg yolks, cold water fish is vital. MCTs from coconut oil can also support mitochondrial function and cognition. Variety is key.
And blood sugar control seems linked.
Very tightly. High spikes in blood sugar and insulin from processed carbs and sugars drive inflammation and directly damage mitochondria over time. So minimizing those and focusing on low glycemic plants helps keep blood sugar stable, protects mitochondria, helps manage body fat.
That connection to Alzheimer's risk being called type 3 diabetes that really hits home.
It does. It highlights how metabolic health and brain health are intertwined, which also explains why lower carb or even ketogenic approaches are discussed.
Right, the keto diet. How does that help mitochondria?
by shifting the body to burn fat for fuel, producing ketones. Ketones are a very efficient fuel source, especially for the brain. They might protect neurons, even spur the creation of new mitochondria. It mimics some benefits of fasting.
And fasting itself was mentioned. Intermittent fasting, calorie restriction.
Yes, these practices seem to activate longevity pathways, reduce inflammation, enhance mitochondrial function, maybe even promote neurogenesis, making new brain cells. Things like a daily 12-hour overnight fast are relatively easy ways to tap into some of these benefits.
The plan also mentioned low grain and gluten-free. Why?
Often the rationale is inflammation reduction. For many people, grains, especially refined ones, and gluten can be inflammatory, potentially damaging the gut lining. And that gut-brain axis is real gut inflammation, can impact brain health and cognition. Replacing grains with nutrient-dense veggies supports both.
So the Mito food plan is basically anti-inflammatory, low glycemic, emphasizes quality fats, protective nutrients, and might incorporate lower carbs or fasting, all to support those cellular powerhouses.
That's a great summary. It's about fueling energy efficiently and protecting against damage, especially in high-energy tissues like the brain.
Shifting gears slightly, another interesting angle was melatonin-rich foods. We think sleep, but there's more.
Much more. Melatonin, made by our pineal gland for circadian rhythm and sleep, is also found in plants. And it turns out it's a potent antioxidant, anti-inflammatory immune modulator. It has potential anti-cancer effects, cardiovascular benefits, anti-diabetic properties, neuroprotection. It's looking like a broad anti-aging compound.
So eating foods with melatonin might boost sleep and offer these other protections. What foods contain it?
It's a surprisingly wide list. Eggs, fish, meat, dairy, fruits like apples, bananas, grapes, oranges, pineapple, and especially certain berries, cranberries, goji, strawberries, tart cherries.
Vegetables too?
Yep. Broccoli, peppers, collard greens, kale, tomatoes, mushrooms, microgreens, seeds like fenugreek, mustard, almonds, pistachios, walnuts, flax, grains like corn, rice, oats, barley, legumes like lentils, kidney beans, even coffee made the list.
Wow, it's in a lot of common foods. So just eating a diverse diet might naturally support melatonin levels for more than just sleep.
It's another layer of how food provides complex biological signals. Okay, next up. Supporting your body's structure with collagen.
The body's scaffolding, basically. Tendons, skin, bones, cartilage.
Exactly, the glue provides structure, elasticity, and the kicker is our production drops off significantly as we age. Starts declining around 20, takes a bigger dip after 40.
So supporting collagen is crucial for mobility, skin health, bone strength.
Yeah.
Staying physically resilient.
Absolutely. Less joint pain, more supple skin, stronger bones, better muscle function, even healthier arteries. And the sources stress that nutrition is a key way to support it.
How do we eat for collagen?
It's about providing the building blocks. The amino acids proline, glycine, and lysine are key. Plus, cofactor nutrients like vitamin C, zinc, copper.
Any specific foods or herbs highlighted?
Certain herbs were mentioned for their traditional use or specific compounds. Chinese knotweed, horsetail, rich in silica, nettles, gotu kola, ashwagandha, cilantro. But fundamentally, it's about getting enough quality protein for the amino acids and plenty of colorful fruits and veggies for the cofactors and antioxidants.
So just like the defense systems, we can eat to help rebuild and maintain our physical structure too.
It's providing the right materials and signals for your body to maintain itself.
Okay, now let's pivot to some of those more challenging perspectives, particularly from Dr. Stephen Gundry. His core idea seems to be that aging diseases aren't inevitable, but driven by lifestyle, especially impacting the microbiome.
Yes, his work puts the gut microbes absolutely front and center. He argues they're major players in chronic disease and aging, and he definitely challenges some sacred cows, like the standard view of the Mediterranean diet.
Wait, the Mediterranean diet, isn't that the gold standard?
He agrees it's healthy, but questions why. He argues it's not primarily the whole grains and beans, as often emphasized. He points to places like Acciaroli in Italy, a blue zone, where they traditionally ate lentils but very little pasta or bread.
So what does he think makes it so healthy?
He emphasizes the huge amounts of high-quality olive oil, the polyphenols from that, and red wine, likely a fasting component from religious traditions like Lent, and less reliance on animal protein compared to Western diets. He believes these factors cultivate a healthier microbiome. He also brings up TMAO.
TMAO, that's usually linked to heart risks, right?
Often, yes. It's made by gut bacteria from things like choline and carnitine in a red meat. But Gundry presents a nuance. He notes a compound in olive oil, balsamic vinegar, and red wine that might actually block the bacterial enzyme that makes TMAO from those precursors. His take is that the context of the whole diet matters, and the beneficial compounds might counteract or change the TMAO effects. It's complex.
Definitely makes you rethink simple headlines. What about the Okinawan diet? Another blue zone.
He highlights their traditional reliance on the purple sweet potato, like 85% of calories, plus white rice. He stresses these are full of resistant starch.
Ah, like prebiotics, feeding the good gut bacteria.
Exactly. It ferments in the large intestine.
Yeah.
He connects this to other populations too, like Nigerians with the APOE4 gene, high Alzheimer's risk, who traditionally eat resistant starches from things like melon and have low rates of the disease. His message is consistent. Eat for your gut microbiome.
So it's not just carb versus no carb, but which carbs feed which microbes. Okay.
Mm.
What about fiber in general?
He challenges the simple more fiber is better idea. He mentions Dennis Burkitt's work in Africa, high fiber diets, large stools, low colon cancer. But Gundry notes Burkitt didn't distinguish fiber types and ironically died of colon cancer himself. He prefers focusing on specific beneficial fibers, like resistant starch, pointing to the naked mole rat, lives super long, eats tubers roots, has a gut biome like healthy centenarians. He suggests things like organic pumpkin puree as a good source.
Interesting. And animal protein for longevity. He challenges that too.
Big time. He cites research suggesting vegans live longest, with longevity decreasing as animal protein intake rises. He talks about the methionine to glycine ratio, typically higher in muscle meat, potentially impacting growth pathways like IGF-1 in ways that might accelerate aging. He suggests things like vegan fasts could mitigate some effects.
So the type of protein matters for these aging pathways, which brings us to IGF-1.
Right. Insulin-like growth factor 1. Essential for growth when young, but constantly high levels later in life are linked to faster aging and cancer risk. He mentions populations resistant to IGF-1 who don't get cancer or diabetes. Mouse studies show blocking IGF-1 extends life. His view, constantly signaling grow, 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 might be counterproductive for longevity.
Okay. What about iron? He called it internal rust.
Yeah, that's provocative. His concern is excess stored iron contributing to oxidative stress, damaging mitochondria. He notes blood donors tend to live longer, possibly due to lower iron. Recommends tracking ferritin and GGT blood levels as potential markers for this rust.
So maybe less is more with iron as we age. Counterintuitive. And age as energy consumption rate.
His idea is basically that higher metabolic rates might correlate with shorter lifespans. Carnivores burn hotter metabolically. Maybe the sweet spot is being fit, but having a lower resting metabolism. He uses hibernating animals as an example. They dramatically lower metabolism and live much longer. We, he suggests, live in constant summer, always fueled up.
Fascinating analogy. Saturated fat, another controversial one.
He revisits Ansel Keys, notes Keys linked saturated fat to heart disease, but didn't condemn plant fats like olive oil. Gundry's main caution is for people with the APOE4 gene, about 30% of us. For them, he argues, saturated fats, even coconut oil, cheese, can really spike LDL cholesterol, so genetics matter. He also mentions puberty and the importance of the gut's mucus layer for protection.
So personalized response again. And finally, milk. Not good.
He specifically targets conventional cow's milk, especially A1 casein from Holstein cows. Says it's designed for rapid calf growth, high in IGF-1. Humans grow slowly. He links rapid adolescent growth, potentially fueled by high milk intake, to later cancer risk. Notes we're the only species drinking another's milk past infancy, suggests A2 milk, goat, or camel milk as potential alternatives.
Wow. So Gundry really pushes us to question assumptions and focus on the microbiome, specific food compounds, and these complex biological interactions.
It's a different lens emphasizing how much our microbes might be running the show and how specific food components interact with our systems in ways we're just starting to fully understand.
Okay, with all this talk about specific foods, sometimes needing very fresh things like microgreens, how practical is it for people to actually get these things regularly?
That's a fair point. And the sources did touch on it briefly, mentioning new technologies. Things like urban cultivator units or even container farms like the Greenery S. These are ways people are finding to grow super fresh, organic produce, even hundreds of varieties right where they live year-round.
So technology is kind of making it easier to put this science into practice, growing your own defense foods.
Exactly. It helps bridge that gap, makes the eat-to-beat disease concept more accessible, more hands-on, brings the farmer out in you maybe.
Right. Now, after covering all these amazing systems and specific foods, we really need to emphasize there's no single magic bullet, is there? no one food that guarantees health.
Absolutely not. That's such a crucial takeaway. The real power, as all these sources suggest, lies in supporting the body's own incredible integrated defense systems, helping them do their job better. We've really underestimated our power to transform health through what we eat.
And food choices, while incredibly powerful, they don't exist in a vacuum. They work best alongside other healthy habits.
Definitely. Regular exercise, good quality sleep, managing stress, strong social connections, it's all part of the picture. Diet is a huge lever, but it's part of a holistic approach.
Eating well doesn't make you invincible, but it hugely tips the odds in your favor, right? For extending the healthy years, the quality of life years.
That's the goal. Not just lifespan, but health span.
Hmm.
Reducing the risk of chronic diseases that diminish quality of life.
And we should also remember, the science here is constantly evolving. No single study is the final word.
For sure. Our understanding grows through ongoing research, clinical trials, population studies, lab work, always prioritizing the human data where possible. And these recommendations, they aren't rigid rules.
Right. Everyone's unique. Genetics, lifestyle.
Exactly. Think of this framework, the 5 defense systems, mitochondrial health, the microbiome as a launch pad. It helps you explore and figure out a personalized approach that works for your body, your life.
Use common sense. Don't go overboard with any one thing. And importantly, this isn't a substitute for medical care when you need it.
Absolutely critical point. The aim here is to use this knowledge to make conscious, informed choices every day, to eat with the clear intention of nourishing your defenses, empowering self-healing, and promoting resilience.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive, we've seen food as way more than fuel. It's information. Information that activates and supports these 5 core defense systems: angiogenesis, regeneration, the microbiome, DNA protection, immunity.
And we saw how diet impacts mitochondria, collagen, even explored some challenging views like Gundry's, focusing on microbes and specific compounds, making us question old assumptions.
The big picture is the interconnectedness of it all, and the immense power you have through your daily food choices to nurture this internal environment, strengthen your defenses, and really promote thriving.
It's not about finding one magic food. It's about adopting a systems-based approach, eating consciously to build resilience. That's a powerful strategy for a longer, healthier life. It's an ongoing journey, really.
Absolutely. Supported by science and by your own exploration.
So, maybe a final thought to leave you with. Think about your next meal. Don't just see it as filling your stomach. See it as casting a vote. A vote for which of your body's amazing internal defenses you want to strengthen today. What potential for healing, for vitality, for longevity do you want to unlock with that choice?